We might have to do that again. Oh, there we go. We're live now.
Looks like we are live, guys. I don't know what has happened, but we have been what we thought was live streaming for the last 10 minutes. Wild. Good. Well, look, I mean, we had the whole intro, we had all these things, and none of that happened.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Because I'm like, everyone's like, hey, where you be though? Everyone's saying hi. I'm thinking they're all interacting. And thanks, Randy, for catching that. So look, hey, welcome to OMI is My Homie, episode 21. What we started talking about was basically these comments here on Dfinity. So Randy, I hate to have you do this again, but
I'll do it again.
Can you read
Yeah,
basically, we're going to talk about what's happened with Dfinity, the price. That was one of the first several comments here. And we'll go from there. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, we're good. So this is coming from Manu Chattery, who is CEO and co-founder of Dfinity Markets, DMA Links, and all of the other sister businesses that they have included. He says, update on recent Dfinity token security incident. I'm writing to provide an explanation of our immediate review of the recent security breach involving the liquidity pools containing Dfinity tokens, ETH, and USDT. We understand the seriousness of this incident and want to assure you of the steps we're taking to address the situation and prevent similar occurrences in the future. Incident overview. On the evening of 4 September 2024, we discovered that an unauthorized party gained access to the project's DEX liquidity tokens, and we're still investigating the exact cause of the breach, but it appears that there was an unauthorized access. Approximately 2 million Dfinity tokens, as well as ETH and USDT, were stolen and subsequently sold. At the time, and all Dfinity assets were moved to Fireblocks, there was no option to store liquidity tokens. Over the last few weeks, this functionality has now become available on Udala. All remaining company assets are safe and in secure locations. We're confident that there will be no further loss. Enhanced security measures, we are committed to safeguarding assets and having implemented several measures to strengthen our security protocols. Fireblocks integration. As you're all aware, we have partnered with Fireblocks, a leading custodian in the digital asset space for all of our institutional trading. All Dfinity assets are currently stored within the Fireblocks ecosystem. The Udala integration. We've also partnered with Udala, another institutional digital asset custodian. Moving forward, all liquidity tokens shall be stored on Udala, creating a more robust segregation of assets. Internal review. We're conducting a comprehensive internal review to identify any vulnerabilities that may have contributed to the breach. We will be taking corrective actions to address these vulnerabilities and prevent similar incidents from happening again. Operational security is our main goal. We understand that this incident has caused serious concern, and we're committed to transparency and will continue to provide updates as the situation evolves. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Go to their Dfinity Markets Twitter, their X account, their Telegram, and all that.
So I got a quick question though. Wes is saying this is the second hack of Dfinity.
There was one months ago, like 6 months ago.
And what was that one about?
That was some of their former partners that helped them launch the token. They thought they had removed access from their wallet. So some of the team that helped them initially launch the token, when they got started, they were introduced to some people that are like, oh yeah, we'll help you launch and market the token, et cetera, et cetera. So there was a wallet with a bunch of tokens in it that suddenly got drained. And it seemed like the access point might have been from those former partners that they cut ties with because they really didn't like them. As far as they just saw some things in them that they were concerned about. And then later their wallets get drained. Okay, so then they moved everything over, including the liquidity pool tokens. So they didn't unstake everything. They just moved the liquidity pool tokens over to a different wallet. And these liquidity pool tokens somehow now got hacked. And then dumped, right? So they pulled out the ETH, they pulled out the DFX tokens, and then on the Binance Smart Chain, same thing. We're able to get access to the liquidity pool tokens, sell them, and then obviously take the BNB and the ETH and move that over to different wallets. But then dump the tokens that they had gotten from the liquidity pool and harvest as much cash as they could and then run away. So in the short term, like, it crashes the price. In the long term, my only concern is, does the company have enough revenue? Like, because essentially their pockets got picked and it dumped the token price, which doesn't matter to me because I'm not selling my tokens until the full-on blow off top bull market, as long as I think the company's still solvent, which they are very solvent. So in the short term, the only question I was asking myself is, do I have some liquidity somewhere that I can buy a bunch more? And I'm out of town, don't have access to my main stuff. So I had to watch this opportunity pass me by, but Randy didn't, and one of our whale friends didn't. They were able to take advantage of these great prices. And we had another friend who bought near the bottom, which is amazing. And sometimes these, well, I've seen these things happen a number of different times. I'm somewhat immune to it because it really doesn't hurt the long-term viability of the project as long as they're still very solvent, which in Definity's case they are. It's just a short-term, like, emotional hit that's like an arrow to your heart when you're new at this. After a while, your heart becomes so numb. Like, this thing didn't even impact me at all, but I've been doing this for 7 years and seen this stuff so much. Now, would it have my first 3 years? Oh yeah. Would have scared the hell out of me. What the heck? Oh my gosh. My token price is down by 70%. It, especially if you're watching your portfolio value, which I no longer do. Yeah, that kind of thing would have totally shaken me, right? Oh my gosh, my portfolio is down 35,000, or in this case, you know, I have so much Definity, my value of my portfolio probably went down by $100,000. I don't track that directly, and like, I'm not worried about it because Definity, we did talk to the team and they told us what happened. I was like, okay, this isn't a long-term problem. Phew. Okay, cool. Like, you know, hopefully there wasn't some big thing like breakup in the team and get all mad and dumping the tokens and something that could actually impact the team long-term. This is a short-term hiccup that is like, okay, it's fine. I don't care what the price says now other than, can I buy more? I'm waiting for 6 months or 12 months or whenever the blow off top is, when the DeFi narrative hits and Definity's price is much, much, much higher. And that's my sell point.
So I'm gonna interject here. It is a little concerning that there's been 2 hacks or like breaches of this token over the last 6 months. That's really concerning. And I get that, like, each one that, like, there's a logical excuse for that, but like at the same time, these guys are, I mean, Definity is supposed to be, you know, custodying digital assets for major firms. Like, well, what's happening here? That's why, like, that's why, guys. That's
so when you say it like that and you connect those dots, but they cannot put their Definity token into their custody situation where they're custodying these assets. So it's not like they can send these tokens over to the bank. And so there's no tie between where their tokens are at and where their main business is. So like, this has no bearing in the other thing. Now, they did move over the rest of their tokens to Fireblocks, which was safe, but the liquidity pool tokens, they couldn't move over to Fireblocks because then they can't act as liquidity pool tokens. And so now there's another one that they identified that's come available that has a safer security position to be able to move them over. But it's like, just because this gets hacked, that has no bearing on the assets that these banks custody for them.
Correct.
In fact, the token itself is like not directly impactful on their business at all. Kind of like the OMI token. Like, if OMI's token goes down by 99%, that doesn't wreck VeVe at all. Would they be upset and be like, oh no, we need to help our people? Yes. But like, Divinity's in the same situation. Their revenue model is completely independent of the token value. They don't depend on selling their token in order to generate revenues for them to pay their staff at all. And so they're in a really strong financial position. Is it concerning? My guess is it's somehow related to the same party, that just because they changed the pool, of the they sent the liquidity pool tokens over to another wallet. Somehow that didn't protect them from the people with the access to the original wallet being able to then access the liquidity pool tokens and dump them. So what else can these guys have access to? At this point, nothing else. That was the last vulnerability with their tokens.
But what I'm talking about is more than just oversight of the token. It's the understanding of the custody and like of assets in the digital in the digital space. And what I'm saying is, like, for them to be drained twice, like, who's overseeing that? And who doesn't have the knowledge or the checks or balances, like whatever they need, the audits and all of that on the contracts, smart contracts, those tokens, that they're able to be hacked twice. And if that's the case, what are their internal processes and procedures to ensure that even though it's separate and the custodying and how it's protected is separate, that there isn't some weaknesses there as well? Like, it's concerning to me. Like, now listen, I'm gonna say that, right? While also saying that I just spoke with the CFO Chris like a week ago, right? And I love their business model. I love what they're doing, but I definitely am looking forward to figuring out in this internal review, and hopefully they're very transparent as to their findings and what happened there, because to me there is a breakdown in their processes of ensuring that things are completely taken care of on at least the token side. And so how do I know that that's not leaking into their other business with processes and procedures and internal checks and balances there? That, to me, if I'm an institutional investor, that's one of the first questions I'm going to be asking is, is there a common denominator there? And is it a lack of knowledge of the space or the expertise that's required to truly handle this? That's a big question for me right now. Now,
well,
go ahead.
So they sent over all the tokens they could over to Fireblocks, but these tokens, well, after they were hacked the first time, meaning, oh my gosh, these guys still have access to the wallet, and they drained it. That's who they think drained it. I can't say they know or we know, but those got drained, and so they sent over all their tokens to Fireblocks, except the liquidity pool tokens, which they couldn't. So then they sent them over to a brand new wallet. Cool. They didn't realize that there might be a vulnerability there, and we don't know how that wallet got compromised.
Right.
And it's easy to say, like, but their solutions for custodying the other things are completely outside of the solutions of where they could custody their liquidity pool tokens.
Of ensuring that things are protected.
So
anyways, look, we can hash this out.
Right.
I know this is OMI's my homie, and maybe we'll talk about this offline. But that to me is a red flag. Bottom line, it's
I see red flags in every single company, so you're not wrong there. How big of a red flag is it? I don't know. I see red flags in all the companies I'm invested in all the time. Like, is it a red flag enough that I'm going to sell? No, it's a minor red flag. Like, is it a little bit of concern? On a scale of 1 to 10, to me, it's a 2. You might see it as higher because I understand the process of and how this happens. And I've seen this happen in so many different crypto companies that it's like, I don't know, I'm somewhat numb to it. Why so many of the companies, even that I've been involved in and invested in, have had this happen, and it causes a short-term blip. And then 2 months later, nobody but me even remembers that it happened. Why? Because I don't forget that it happened, but like, it seems like everyone else seems to.
And we'll get to the OMI in 1 second, but as far as this isn't like a presidential thing that he's the only one that has access to the nuclear codes. Now moving forward, anytime they want to move Definity from any of their wallets, it does take 2 people in order to do it. So it can't just be one lone person. And as far as for people that don't know, they're a hybrid DEX trading model. So they separate their asset custody from trade execution. So if this were to spook any like their institutional partners, I'd be like, okay, that would be a major red flag and I won't buy anymore. But I am continuously buying, and I did on this dip, because the custody of the fiat or for anyone's crypto is with a European investment bank. The crypto custody is either self-custody on Fireblocks or via an accredited custodian, such as BNY Mellon. So again, nothing like this should really ever happen again. Again, that's why I bought the dip. I had 2 buys, put about 1,500 in, worth a little over 2K now. And I recognize that not everyone can do that, and it's scary, and I get that. But hopefully this eased a little bit of concerns for people.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. It's a very interesting discussion. And not the main reason why what we were doing this show for, but it's just something that happened. And look, hopefully you guys, like when we talk about these tokens and the projects we're interested in, we have very robust discussions about this, right? And this just happened to come up. And we know there's a lot of people who listen to us that are pumped on Dfinity as well. And so thought it was worth covering and talking about. Absolutely. So jumping into the actual agenda here, the first thing that we're going to talk about, guys, is tomorrow, VeVe is dropping Amazing Spider-Man number 13, which is the first appearance of
Mysterio.
Yeah, there you go, Mysterio. Right. Now, have you guys seen the bounty offered on this? I'm gonna share my screen here.
Am I Stu Pickles in the first Rugrats movie? Because it's $500. Oh, that is a reference from way back in the day, 20-something years ago. Let's go.
So you got this first appearance of Mysterio tomorrow. Now, do you guys know how many editions there are? 3,000,
I think.
Yeah, 3,000 editions, and the price is still $7.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that this is priced to move. I think that this is going to sell out. But Comics and Crypto, and they've done this before, but they offered a bounty. Have you heard this, Rain?
Yeah. I don't remember what the bounty is, but Randy and I were talking about it beforehand.
$500.
Yeah, so they've offered. So, and I'm saying this to everyone out there in case there's some people who don't get on X, or they have different media intakes, right? And so, for those who don't know, Comics and Crypto is offering a bounty for mint number 1964, which is really interesting, right? Because on right here, it shows it here, where it says the first appearance of Mysterio, Marvel's Amazing Spider-Man 1963, number 13 drops Thursday, right? So why are they wanting the 1964 mint as opposed to 1963, which is says here? And Comics and Crypto basically stated that the 1964 is actually the year that this comic was published, but the beginning of the series started in 1963, apparently, with this storyline or something. So that's the difference that I didn't realize either. But that's where they're saying the actual published date of the comic is 1964. So that's the one they're going for. They also said that just because they put out that bounty, if people want to beat that bounty, match that bounty, whatever, it's up. But that's just something that they're willing to throw out there. And I love it. I love because with a previous one, I'm trying to remember which one it was, they offered a bounty. And I think that thing went for like several $1,000s, the mint year of that. So what we're still seeing here, right, is that there are people who are very serious collectors that really want these meaningful mint numbers that tie to very important dates. So I thought that was really cool. I'm definitely going to be going for this. I think it'll sell out. Are you guys going for this at all?
Heck yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's jump into the next topic here, which I've got to get back to. Okay, yeah. So Corey from the team actually posted this interesting question, and I responded to it, and I think actually you liked it, Randy.
Yes,
so,
I did.
Old Rhubarb, right, Corey? But he asked this question. Are any of you reading your VeVe Comics? Or is it all about the cover variants for you? Or is it, and I'm adding to this, or is it like, are you reading comics? Are you just buying for the covers? Are you buying because you want to read it? Or are you buying for the investment? Or all of the above? And I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on like what you're doing, right? I think the community, there's a variety of answers, And it's interesting to see all the many answers that he was receiving there.
Rain, you go first because I got a lot to say.
Yeah, I'm buying for the investment side of it and the cool covers. I've only like read a couple of them. Later on, when we have like easy AR glasses and stuff, I'm going to go through and read a bunch of the ones that I really want to read. But for now, it's like kind of complicated to read them that way. And so for now, it's just purely the investment side and the cool covers mixed in with the investment side.
It's been interesting. I'm just going to jump off that real quick on the cool cover side. There have been several comics. Well, go ahead, Randy. No, you go ahead, and then I'll wrap it up. I'll start talking too much.
I think it might have been on this stream last week where I got the people were talking about the Aliens vs. Avengers comic. I guess before I get to that, usually I don't read these. Like if they're super key comics or super first appearances, I was like, okay, I'll get one, from the market, or from the store. I'm sorry, and then I'll gamble, see what happens, because they're like $7-10. Sometimes they're $20 if they're really big. I usually don't read them because I'm gonna get some hate for this. I'm gonna rustle some jimmies here, but a lot of the older comics, like pre-1990, they're like okay, and they just don't. Or one that's just written in almost like a different language, just because people spoke differently, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. And I've read them, and they're okay. People don't get those to read; they get them because of the historical significance. So most of those I don't read. One of the ones that I was going to read recently was the Through the Betaverse, which was the Disney ones where you had the it looks like Mickey, Donald, Goofy, and whatever. They're going through like their version of like the metaverse, and I was like, and I still haven't read it, but I want to. And last week when I got the Aliens vs. Avengers #1, and I got the ultra rare because it was on the VeVe Comics website, I was like, okay, this is a really cool cover. But I'll read it, and then it was going for like $40 at the time. So I'll read it and then I'll sell it, and then I'll get like a common because this is really cool. But then I read it, and again, I normally don't get too excited about comics. I did a video not too long ago talking about why a lot of local comic book stores were closing, and a lot of companies, they went a little woke. Stacker World, I'm not sure. That's a question for Dr. Profit, I think. But so again, newer comics, some of them are okay, and they're trying what they can, but I don't get excited about them. But when I read this one, oh my God, I went from saying, oh, I'm going to read this and sell it and maybe get a common, to going off, like really off the rails. Like my Ozzy Osbourne in like the 80s, because I was going off the rails like a crazy train. And I happened to go in and buy 68 editions of these. And for those of you that do not know, these are like $10.98, because crossovers typically don't do that well. And I'll for a really good comic series like Civil War, Secret Wars, like a bunch of these really big events where like the Watcher comes in, I get excited about those. But those are few and far between. Like years happen between those events. And I got that same feeling when reading this. I could have very well put that 700 into crypto, and probably should have. But this is one of the only comics. It's #1 right now. The last week, it's the #1 comic in the physical world. A lot of the comic stores near me don't even have it anymore, or where me and Rain are right now. And the other ones, like the Marvel's 85th anniversary, is in the physical world, did okay. And then the Rob Liefeld's Deadpool team up #1, that did well. But this is by far the best performing new comic book in a long time in the physical world. So again, I went crazy, and that's my story there. Love it.
So funny you're talking about Aliens versus Avengers, because I have read some of the comics that I purchased, right? Like I definitely read the first appearance of Wolverine. I never read that before. And it was so cool to read. Like, I don't know, man, just like the origin story of him coming into the comic books, his first kind of appearance against, because Wolverine comes from Canada, right? Like, and anyway, so like all of that with the Incredible Hulk and the not Yeti, what's his name? I just blanked out on it, but basically like this abominable snowman Yeti guy. Anyways, it was I've read some of that, but I actually landed the secret rare of Aliens versus Avengers because I know it's pretty funny, but where I just bought because I was like, oh, I want to buy this, so I ended up buying it. Got the secret rare, which is what's his
after
name?
I bought like 20 of them.
Scotty Young's. But it was just karma after I bought so freaking many of the Marvel 85, like number 85, like an anniversary, and like didn't get a secret rare. I bought so many of those. Yeah, anyways, and I read it. It is so good, guys. I am telling you, if you're a fan of the Aliens movies and Marvel, like the ending, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. I am so excited to read the rest of this series. But the thing I need to do, I need to use the VeVe Comics Reader app. I need to do that. It is a pain, like Rain said, to like log in again to that and get into that. But I should have done it. It would have been a better reading experience for me. But man, guys, I'm telling you, you should read that comic. It is.
I haven't felt like this about a comic in a long time.
Yeah, like so I think that I've got to check just to see if somehow it's not sold out at my local comic book store. And if not, I mean, if it is, and then I'm gonna grab some there. But if not, I'm probably gonna grab a few off of eBay. I want several physicals, but in answer to that, right? I think that there's a mix of depending on who it is, and it's funny because I saw this kind of what I would call a troll comment. My Collectibles had made this post about like how many of the certain comic do you Marvel number one, Marvel comic number one, how many do you have? And someone was like, oh, if this is just a collector's app, like why would people have more than one? And I'm like, first and foremost, David Yu, who is an ultimate collector, says you always at least buy 3 of something, right? 1 to own, 1 to sell, and 1 to trade. So I mean, there's a simple answer there, but look, ultimately, the main purpose that they want people to use this app for is to collect. But they obviously understand that there can be an investment aspect to that, right? But that's not something that they're targeting people for. But they know that people do that, and so they're also going to try to cater certain things for that segment of the collecting population or the population of users there. So I just kind of roll my eyes at these people who are just trying to be like jerks. Like, I don't know what else to say, right? Like, they already know the answer. They're just coming out and being like punks about it. But anyways, so shout out to the team for always handling all of this BS that they get put through on these stupid questions. And that is a stupid question. Like, bottom line, that's a stupid question because obviously there are people who are doing that. And we all talk about that all the time of, I see the long-term vision of what this could be, digital collecting in the future, digital collectibles in the future. That's where I think that things are going. And that's why I think that some people are still here, right? Is they have that vision and they're excited where this leads. But that doesn't stop people from enjoying the things that they also own, right? So I hope that kind of covers that whole topic of just like, there's a variety of people and a variety of reasons why they purchase certain items, have multiples of certain items. Sometimes it's just the cover itself. I'm like, I legit am not really interested in what this, number 7 of this comic book is. I just love freaking this artist and I love the cover art and I'm willing to pay for that because at some point, knock on wood, we're going to be able to flex those covers and those items in the VeVeverse, right? Or in our showrooms or however that interaction happens there. That's why I do it. So I thought it was important enough for us to cover there. But look, I want to. Oh, go ahead.
And possibly you'll be able to read them. So a lot of times in investing, like at least this is what I look at. Is it easy to read the comics now? No. Will it probably be in the future? Yes, I think so, and it will be quite cool. And my guess is the social flex of the ones that do really well, the social flex will be high. It's not right now, which is why the prices are low, which is why as an investor slash speculator, because I'm speculating that the prices of these will be a lot higher in the future. That's why I'm so interested in the VeVe collectibles. I think down the road, as things come together, way, way, way more people, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, maybe even a billion people, are collecting digital collectibles, and VeVe is the number one app so far. And I don't see anyone really is very close. And so, like, as that market grows, there'll be more and more people doing this. And they do have the exclusive on Marvel Comics, which is half the best comics out there in the world. And so, like, I think digital comics in the future are going to be a really big deal, even though they aren't now, which is why the prices are so low. So I really like the VeVe comics. I would say 70% of what I buy on the VeVe app are comics.
Yeah, and to that point though, like Randy was saying, right, is that in real life, like I don't even know how many copies they have of this first Aliens versus Avengers print, right?
We don't know yet.
I mean, tens of thousands, like at least.
100K.
Okay, 100K, right? And the digital version, how many are there? 1,000? 1,000.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if digital collecting becomes a thing, right? Like that scarcity comes into play significantly, right? As we look at like historical pieces and how over time some of those get lost, they get destroyed, you know, like all of that stuff to the scarcity factor, and that's why there's some value there. I just think in the short to medium term, digital collecting, if that becomes a thing, with that scarcity until the physical versions decline, the number of physical versions decline, right? You're going to have like a lot lower edition size of these digital comics. So anyways, I wanted to get back to this question of how far off is Stacker World. Shout out to you, Dystopia. Appreciate the super chat there. I'm sure that's probably for Randy. But so Randy, why don't you take that first, and then I'll respond as well.
There's a lot that they went over that Dr. Prophet had gone over with OMI on a space. I think there's going to be a couple more of that. And it won't just be on X. There will be a couple of YouTubers as well that'll get that opportunity to go and talk about it. But you don't want to release something that still has bugs and still has, other stuff. So as far as Stacker World, where if you're talking about OMI to NFT, getting out of beta, they do add more people all the time. I think Asian Dan, he just got in. But there will be, I'll say before the end of the year. That is just coming off my own estimations officially from Stacker. I don't think we have a estimated timeline yet. It could be this month or it could be in late December. Again, we're not sure. I don't know how they would want to release it end of December, really towards the holidays. So if they don't get it done by late November, early December, maybe they just wait till January. But the holdup really is, I would say, you have to have enough users to really test it, to really like crank that system and be like, okay, it's fine if we have 5 or 10 people doing it, but how does it do when we have 1,000 people? It's going to be really hard to simulate because yes, we could have that many users, try to do it at once and really test that, but when push comes to shove, you're not going to know how it's going to hold up for 100,000 users that we have in like maybe the next year or so, until that actually happens. So I'm not 100% sure what the holdup is. If anything, when Dr. Prophet comes on, we could ask him then. But that's the best answers I can give right now.
Yeah. Look, Dr. Prophet, if you're listening, and I'm going to hit you up in the DMs too, I would love to be one of the many YouTubers, I'm guessing, that you show up on where I can ask you some questions about Stacker. I got a lot of in-depth knowledge of crypto and can ask some tough questions for you. So that would be fun. But look, also Dystopia, yeah, to Randy's point, right? Like with beta testing, like I'm like full disclosure, like I am in the beta testing for OMI NFT. I've done that. I've been able to buy and sell NFTs for OMI, and there's a lot of feedback going on there. And so as I'm sure that's got to be part of it, right? As they continue to potentially identify bugs, and as they expand that, maybe there's more bugs or something else breaks. But I as for the timeline, what Randy said, like I have no idea about the timeline there, but I would imagine that that's one of the main reasons it's not out right now. And then Dystopia also made another comment here. I imagine per license issues, I'm sure that like they have to get the agreement of every single licensor, right? And so how long that takes, but I would imagine that they would release it before all of the licensors sign on to it, just to get things rolling. That would be my guess. So I don't know that that's necessarily one of the major holdups there. Okay. So getting back to the agenda. So VeVe announced some comic burns. Did you guys see this?
Yes.
I love when they don't announce it. I think that that's so meaningful because what happens is when they announce it, then more people buy, right? And it makes more money for them. But when they don't announce it and it's just burned, it's actually more beneficial to the people who are actually holding the comics there. Because then there could be some FOMO and people are like, you know what? I don't have that comic. Maybe I want it. Or because people are like, oh, there's too many editions of this, so I'm not going to worry about it. But then all of a sudden these get burned and they're like, oh, geez, like there's a lot less editions than I thought. I think that it helps those who already own that, that they're like, hey, maybe I would win in on this. And now that there's less editions available than originally thought, maybe I'm willing to sell one. And it basically benefits the consumers as opposed to VeVe and Marvel. If they just announce that, right, then potentially people just ape into the store and buy it there. So anyways, love that. Now here's my question for you, Randy. After you saw those, the announcement of the burns, and I'll read off the ones that got burned. Did you end up buying any of them?
I didn't. I thought I don't know if the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl #1 is that first appearance. I don't think that is. I do like her. But outside of that, I didn't really see any of these that really jumped out at me. Typically, when you have burns, it's usually because there's lack of demand for it anyway. It would benefit me because I have 68 editions. If they would burn the Aliens versus Avengers, I think that'd be great. But it's a new it just came out last week. They're not doing that. But for any of these, like Alpha Flight, I feel like nobody really cares about. Even in like the real physical world, they don't. But none of these jumped out at me. What about you?
I ended up buying actually several of the ones that got burned. I had actually I have a ton of Alpha Flight #106 when I was
sorry.
Wait, why are you saying sorry?
Oh, because I just said that I kind of insulted them a little bit, so that's why.
Oh no, I don't like the comic at all. The reason I bought so many of them was because this was a long time ago, and I still believe that this will at some point happen. The opportunity to burn comics for either a more rare edition of that comic, right? A new cover or something, or for something else, right? And so I bought, it's got to be like 50 or 60 Alpha Flight comics. I got to be the #1 holder of Alpha Flight comic #106. No joke. I have a ton of those suckers. Anyways, and FYI, I don't think the price went up at all with those burns, which is saying something as well. But yeah, I bought a ton of that because I'm hoping that at some point I can burn. I didn't know if it was like you could burn comics, like any rarity of anything for something new, or if it was going to be you could burn certain comics for a special cover of that same comic. We'll see how they. I hope that's not the case, because I don't necessarily want a special cover of Alpha Flight 106. Anyways, one of the ones that stuck out to me that was really surprising that got burned was Uncanny X-Men #12. That's the first appearance of Juggernaut.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah. Right? So I bought several of those, and I bought a secret rare that was sitting on the floor, and I was like, I feel like that's a pretty good deal. And when I kind of broke it down numbers wise, and I didn't check Stacker to see what the actual ownership of the secret rare is, but like I think they burned about 20% of Uncanny X-Men number 12. So yeah, like that reduced the secret rare number by, because I think that, let me pull this up, but I think that the editions were, there was like 250 of the secret rare. Let me see. Let's see if it's probably not gonna show here. Yeah, let's see. And it was a super low mint number too that I got. I was pretty stoked on that. Okay, so there were 250 secret rare editions, right? There were initially 10,000 editions. They burned 2,232. So 22.32% of the supply was burned. So if you extrapolate that, right, 22% of 250, that's going to be about 196 or so secret rares that are out there instead of 250. But first appearance of Juggernaut, he's a mainstay character, right? Half brother of Professor X, and I was shocked. I was shocked that was burned. So.
Yeah, he's an awesome character. There's one story where something happens and there's like some type of outbreak of like this virus that happens on Earth. And for whatever reason, he's like unaffected, and he's like the only one that's unaffected. And he goes in and there's someone that's trying to fight him, and he goes in and he breaks into the place where a bunch of other mutants are hiding, and he lets the infection in. And it's like Juggernaut destroys like the entire mutant world, and it is one of the darkest storylines like ever, and he's at the center of it.
Is that why you like it? The carnage.
Yeah, I don't know what that says about me as a person, but yeah. Really.
Well, it's funny, like, I don't know if you grew up watching Transformers the cartoon, right? So like they would always shoot each other, and they'd like get hit in the shoulder, and they'd put a bandage on their shoulder, which never really made sense for a machine, right? But then they made a Transformers the movie, like a cartoon version of the movie, with Leonard Nimoy did one of the voices and stuff. And right at the beginning, like 6 Autobots get like murked, like killed, like, and you're like, oh my gosh, they actually die? What? So like, anyway, there's something to be said for the stuff that's brutal, because so many times they like fight and fight and fight, and it's like, they just always live to fight another day. So when you have one that goes in and like a whole bunch of mutants get ended, you're like, oh, well, that was different.
Yeah, I mean, Juggernaut, no joke, is an incredibly, incredibly powerful mutant, right? And I mean, he seems to typically be like, they're always able to kind of get that helmet off or get the gem, but like if they can't get that off, like the dude is like indestructible. Like, I mean, just almost undefeatable. I mean, he's extremely powerful. Sorry, I just saw where Turtle had said check the DMs about burning OMI. I'm just responding to him there.
Love Turtle. He's always into helping the community burn more OMI. He's just the man. I love him.
Turtle, I just sent you a DM as well, kind of responding to that. Look, I want to shout out some of these people who are here. Appreciate everyone. Dystopia, Turtle, Energy, Mr. Planet Prophet, Eccles. I can never, you told me, I swear that's how you say it, Eccles. Does anyone know if they're going to burn what's dropped on the VeVe Comics site? That's a good question. I would imagine at some point. I would imagine.
They're already so limited. Like you have it makes sense that some of the other ones get burned because they were, 30,000, copies, or, 10,000 copies, or however much. But a lot of these on the VeVe Comics website are only 1,000 copies, or really 990 because VeVe keeps 10. So it's really, that gets hard. If they want to burn that Aliens vs. Avengers comic, burn it. I mean, there's less than 300 left now anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, especially after you just talked about it. Now, like, they're all going to sell out.
Guys, it is such a good comic. I'm tripping out. I'm like, like the last 2 pages, I was like, yo, what? Blew my mind. And the artwork on that it's so good. Oh man.
On Friday, I went through, I read through like the whole comic, and I just did like a play-by-play on it, and it was, oh god, it was so fun.
I'm fact checking Wes here about the top holder. I don't have 106, so I guess I'm not the top holder. That kind of hurts like a little bit. That I'm not, you know. All right, let's see.
Bananas.
Wait, hold on. The top holder has 451. Okay, geez. I'm not even in the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's crazy. Oh, that's crazy. Oh, interesting. Look, guys, Stacker, if you guys haven't checked out Stacker World, it is pretty awesome. They've got some great metrics and some good information out there. Wow. It does look like there was quite a few market transactions yesterday, though. After that, not that many actually. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not a lot actually. 4 sold after that announcement. It'd be interesting to do an analysis on that of all of the comics that got announced to be burned and then how many transactions occur after that. I'm sure that they're looking at some of that information. Looks like
I just
saw spot Aliens versus Avengers.
You got a comment. Yeah.
Hold on. So how are you checking this out? How did you know that Bill did that?
For Stacker. So if you had signed up to Stacker, you can go in and check. So for example, you can go to you type in aliens and you can go down to Aliens versus Avengers #1.
So
and then
I got it here.
And then you can go under transactions and see who buys either off the market or who buys off the cart. The cart is the store. And because Bill Gardner had signed up for Stacker, it says B Gardner, and that's his. So that was the last purchase he had made.
Wait, I'm looking at this transactions today. The newest transaction, I don't see Bill Gardner. See.
Who do you see?
Well, so wait, cart fiat.
Yeah, so cart fiat is the store.
Yeah.
And then the market is like just the secondary market. But so Bill Gardner, he bought it from the store. And he had done that 3 minutes ago.
That's weird. I'm not seeing. It's not showing that for me. Yeah.
What does it say where it says 2? Just gives like a bunch of letters and numbers.
Yeah, 098E. Check out yours.
Yeah, mine doesn't say that. Mine says 2B Gardner.
So look to see if 098E is there.
No, that is not there.
What? And this is Aliens versus. Oh, this is Secret Rare.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
So wait, I'm confused though. You just typed in aliens?
Yeah, so I go in so if you type in aliens, it'll say all, then it'll say collectibles, and then it'll say comics. So you have to click on the comics tab.
Right.
And then you could tell, like, so the red is the secret rare, the green's the common, there is the blue is the rare, the purple's the uncommon, and then the orange is the ultra rare.
I see. So basically, I didn't realize that. I thought it would just list Aliens versus Avengers #1, the comic, and then you could see the rare. So you have to go into each rarity. So now I still in the rarity there. So
I'm actually the #2 holder for the commons. Mr. Rolex freaking went hard. He's got 32 of those. I only have 23. But...
oh, that's funny. I love it. Look, I mean, it looks like
Spartan uncommons as well.
Yeah, that's funny. Hey, yo, shout out to VeVe Zombie. Everyone hit the like button. there's been like, we should address this, right? Like, because we get comments about this every once in a while. I think Jordan got fired from the show. He was my favorite. So let's back up. Around the Ecomiverse, when did that start? Like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Like 15, 16 months ago. Jordan kind of got a group of us together and said, hey, I think it'd be really cool if we did this around the Ecomiverse. And it initially started, what we agreed upon is that we would each host an episode on our channel and that it would change, right? So if you look at the early episodes, that kind of is what happened. And then Jordan said, hey, like a lot of people are confused as to what channel it's going to be on, which is fair. People are like, I can't tell if it's going to be Randy's, Reigns, Doc's, or Jordan's, or Danny the Bulls, because Danny was on that initially too.
And this is before you could stream to everyone's.
Yeah. So StreamYard didn't allow the ability at the time, or like none of the streaming services that we were aware of at the time allowed for everyone to stream from their own channel, like we're doing now, right? I'm streaming, Randy's streaming from his channel, Rain's streaming from his channel, right? And people are all watching on the different channels and commenting. So that was kind of the process, and then Jordan started just sharing it on his channel, which then people kind of thought that was made it like his show, which really it was still all of ours co-hosting, and I think that Jordan was very upfront and transparent with that. But anyways, along the way, and Jordan, you can ask Jordan more about this, but Jordan divested a substantial amount of his portfolio from OMI, and he reached out to us and just basically said, hey, I'm thinking of switching from around the Ecomiverse to around the Cryptoverse. And we said, that's, look, you do you, man. But like our whole intent was for around the Ecomiverse, was for each of us to different host that and stuff. So if you want to do it around the Cryptoverse, like we fully support you. We think that's great. But we're still heavily invested in OMI. But then we also didn't kind of like want to take that over necessarily, right? Even though we are all co-hosts of that show, we just said, hey, like OMI is my homie. We can kind of do that and start that there, where we are still very full-fledged on OMI. We believe in the project and the token and feel that it can do well. Jordan still holds OMI. Love Jordan to death. Have nothing against him. And I actually think, as I talked to Jordan in the past, right, when he was saying how much OMI he had, I was like, I say this to Randy all the time. Now, Randy is diversified. He has diversified some. But before, I would say this about Jordan and Randy. I'm like, I don't know. You got to diversify, guys. Like, that's crazy. That risk tolerance, I have a fairly high risk tolerance. I'm like, that is just like exponentially higher than mine just to hold one token. And I think that Jordan kind of saw that and realized he's just like, look, with my portfolio and where he's at, like he felt he needed to diversify of that. And so anyways, I hope that answers your question. We got nothing against Jordan whatsoever. I think that he's going into a lot of other projects now and just doesn't focusing as much of his time on OMI. And so that's where we're at with that. But definitely didn't get fired from the show. He's a great guy. I love Jordan. Yeah. Any other comments on that, or I think I covered that?
Totally cool guy. Yeah, I wanted the show to focus mostly on OMI still. Like that was my goal. And we talked about a few other projects. But like there's a reason why I listed OMI as my number 2 pick in this market for where prices are at versus upside potential. Like I know that some people in the community, they get blasted by what I call recency bias, that what has been happening with the price is what's going to continue to happen. And they're just new to investing. They don't realize how wrong that feeling leads them. And so I want to talk about OMI more than ever, not to pump my own bags, but to educate people about what buying low really looks like. And I've been doing investing for 25 years, so this stuff doesn't faze me near as much as it does other people. And so it helps having this experience to be able to share it with people that are new to learning this skill of investing. And it is a skill, and it does not come natural because you have to almost override where your feelings will lead you wrong. And so when it feels like nothing is happening, it's only gone down, that's often a really good price. And that's also when most people sell out and they give up on a token. So, gosh, like I think OMI is like a better deal than it's been in 3 years. And it's yet at a point that 95% of people are giving up on it, and they're going to wish that they didn't. Cool. So, like, I'd love to cover OMI more, not less, in this type of environment. And I know there's some people that disagree with me on this. There's nobody I know that has the kind of investment background that I have that disagrees with me on this. Most of the people I know that have been investing, even if it hasn't been in crypto, like Randy and I have been talking to some of the different whales, and I'm out here visiting Randy, and like they totally get it, but they've been investing in cyclical markets for 30 years. It's nothing new to them. So they get buy low. I don't have to convince them of anything. In fact, they come to me asking me for opinions on stuff because they already know, like, they know how this stuff works. And I just tell them what my thoughts are. And they're like, oh, yeah, because they've seen these kind of cycles for forever. And they can see through, like, the emotions because they have experience. But most of the people following my crypto channel and other people's crypto channels, they're new to this type of investing completely, and so they just get pushed by their emotions out right when they should be doubling and tripling down on some massively undervalued projects, but they don't. And so hopefully some of those people that make the wrong choice, they at least stick around long enough to learn and be like, oh crap, you're right, my emotions totally led me wrong and I missed out on the opportunity of a lifetime. Well, maybe it'll happen again. Maybe the pendulum will swing too far to the upside and then it'll swing too far to the downside again, and I can take the next ride. Unfortunately, for most, that next ride is 4 years from now when the prices bottom out again and on altcoins and are ready to swing to the upside.
Preach. I'll get to Dystopia. I want to say thank you for the super chat. We love you, Dystopia. But I think what you're seeing here now is an exaggerated form of what the Pareto distribution is, where typically it's, if you wanted to, like office politics, 20% of the workers get 80% of the work done. The top 20% of men get 80% of the women. And in finance, it's like the top 20% of people that are very good at finance and determining which companies are undervalued, they get 80% of the gains. And we've seen this before, where OMI and VeVe is very similar to Tesla from 2013 to 2019, where the company made new vehicles, sold everything it made more money, built new factories, and the price didn't move at all. So what happened was that the narrative changed, and more people started seeing that the company was using its profits to grow, and that Tesla was safer and entering and the highest performing than any other vehicle. And then the price skyrocketed, and it made everyone a lot of money. So sure, a lot of people, they can sell their OMI now, and you can lock in your losses and chase green candles. And it's likely that maybe you'll make some money in the short term if there's no correction. But just like that narrative changed for electric vehicles and Tesla in 2019, the narrative, I think, will change for digital collectibles, where VeVe is currently number one and stands to gain the most in the space. And thus, I think the OMI token should rise at a commensurate rate. It's possible it doesn't work out like that. That's just the way that I see it. For Dystopia, how you guys feeling about the price of ETH in general? How do you think this will play into the OMI price? Think it'll stick? I think it'll more reflect, or maybe this is my hope, but you'll have, the bull run Bitcoin, ETH, then, the top 10 or 20 alts. But I think how people will start to price the digital collectibles right now, you can really only purchase it in gems. And if you're in OMI to NFT beta, you can purchase some in OMI. But once people are able to swap Ethereum for OMI very quickly on that Stacker app, it's not going to really be measured in dollars. Most other things, like when somebody buys a Pudgy Penguin or they buy a CryptoPunks, how much ETH was it? They don't really talk about dollars. They talk about how much ETH it was. And yeah, the modern investor, I think just yesterday, said like, wow, 1 ETH is like 6 million OMI. I got to buy some more of that. So again, you have a lot of these people, a lot of these influencers talking about stuff in the price of ETH. And I think when you have Silicon Secure was very famous for saying that he thought that the Todd Batman would be 20 ETH at one point. And I hope he's right. But I think ETH will do very well in the bull market. And hopefully because ETH rises, we see OMI rise again at that commensurate rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it'll be interesting how ETH plays out this cycle, honestly. But I think that Crimson Carmine answered it pretty well, right? Bitcoin dictates the market. So if the king drops a price, it greatly affects the rest of the market typically. And yeah, in general, historically, that's been the case, right? Bitcoin goes up and then later alts follow as people supposedly take profits from Bitcoin and then it flows into these other markets. We'll see, because Dystopia is saying that, he's a big ETH investor and sees potential in ETH over Bitcoin. I don't personally see that just because of the finite supply of Bitcoin compared to ETH. Now, I know that there's a burning mechanism there. There's a lot of economics that go into it, but I just think that in general, ETH will be used more and there will be more of ETH. So I think that the price of Bitcoin ultimately will skyrocket. And this wasn't on the agenda, but there's a bill that's being put forward, right? For basically, this is very fascinating, actually. I don't know if you guys have heard this. There was a bill that's being put forward where basically, so the U.S. government, they have these gold certificates, okay, on their balance sheet. But they are valued at the price of gold when the certificates were obtained back in like the 70s, right? So the price of gold has gone up substantially since then, right? So actually what the suggestion is basically that they buy 1 million Bitcoin, okay? Now, they already have 200,000 Bitcoin that they've obtained from like the Silk Road and all of these other things through like, criminal activities that they confiscated this Bitcoin. So they've already got 200,000 of it, excuse me. So they'll just say, we won't sell that 200,000. Now we only need 800,000 more. And how we're going to obtain that is we're going to take these gold certificates. We're going to mark them to market of what the real value is, then sell the difference between what we had on the balance sheet. So let's say that they had gold at, we're going to make the numbers easy, $300, right? And now let's say the gold's worth 1,000. I know that it's worth more than 1,000, but it's worth 1,000, right? So that $700 difference for all of their gold certificates, they're going to use that difference and just buy the Bitcoin with that over 5 years. And they're like, it literally doesn't cost the U.S. government any additional money. The money's there. They have it valued improperly. So now they just keep that same value that they have it and take that difference and then buy Bitcoin and hold 1 million Bitcoin they cannot sell it for at least 20 years. And the goal of this is to pay off half of the U.S. debt in 20 years because they believe that the value of Bitcoin will be that high in 20 years. And the discussion then follows that they're like, if the U.S. does that, then it forces other world powers to also kind of take a serious look at Bitcoin. And the domino effect of that would just be crazy. So anyways, that was kind of a tangent, Dystopia, on that question. But I do think that Bitcoin is the king and will continue to be the king. I don't think that anything will overtake Bitcoin just because of what it is and how people view it. I think ETH still has a substantial future there. So, oh man, Abe, I just love Abe so much. First one here. I'm going to have to call you out on that. But appreciate you. And I have to say, there was this hilarious comment that I don't know if you guys saw this. I would buy that spa package for my Electro.
I would love that.
Wouldn't that be amazing? This like mechanism to convert your Electra to like a higher version. You buy the spa package. That is such a funny idea. And look, what if you could only buy it in OMI? The only way to do that is to do it with OMI. Look, there's so many different ways that we could do OMI burns there. I love that. But shout out to you, VeVe. Justin says he bought Commons. I'm guessing of the Aliens versus Avengers. Hey, what's up, Mr. MC1? We were just talking about you and that you are a significant holder of Was it Aliens versus Avengers? What was he holding?
Yeah, he's got a little bit of that. I think Mr. Rolex has the most.
Oh no. He is tied for the spot top holder of SRs of Aliens versus Avengers with you.
Yeah. But I mean, as far in total, I think for all of them, I think Mr. Rolex has it. I think he bought like double what I did. I think Mr. Rolex has well over 100 of those. Is a beast.
One of us needs to change the batteries in our smoke detector. I'm not hearing a beep. Is that my beep?
Funny you should mention fireman, Abe. I have from J Law my Los Angeles City fire department shirt on that he gave me. It's not like stolen valor or nothing. He gave it to me. But it's Rain, is that in your room? Because I just changed like most of these smoke detectors recently.
Is there a beeping going on? I don't hear a beep.
I don't hear it either.
I don't know what's going on. You messing with us, Abe? After that?
I mean, he's been fighting a fire, so he might have a little carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah, a little ringing in the ears.
Yeah.
This is funny. Actually, yeah, Crimson. Whales do ask Rain for advice. And maybe you don't know Rain that much or know his background, but he's one of the few YouTubers that I am aware of who actually made millions through investing in crypto as opposed to just through their channel and the sponsorships. So, yeah, maybe brush up on the background of people before you make comments like that on our channel. Yeah. Anyways, Randy says you're looking hinch. But okay, look, let's dive back into some of the agenda here. Man, we've been going through. So, okay, I've seen multiple posts, and this might be a hoax. So I'm hoping Wes is still watching right now, and maybe he can validate this. I know, Wes, at one point you were subscribed to Marvel Unlimited because I know that you got one of their NFTs for being a subscriber there. But I've seen multiple posts where they are saying that you can see your VeVe Comics on Marvel Unlimited. Like if you own VeVe Comics and then you get a Marvel Unlimited account, you can actually read you can see your VeVe Comics on there. Is that correct?
I know there was some type of thing with them. I don't remember which one it was, but it would make some poetic sense because if you want to grab the millions of people that downloaded that, you would want to have some type of bridge in between them. I don't really know how that would help get those people onto VeVe, because if you don't have a VeVe account, you can't see the VeVe Comics on there. So I don't know, but I know there is some type of partnership and some type of bridge between the two. I don't know if that's it though.
Okay, interesting. I don't have a Marvel Unlimited account, so I don't know. But if anyone who is watching this can actually validate that or dispel it as a rumor and not true, would love that. Okay, so the next one, the SR #1 Iron Man Funko Bounty. This is going to be very interesting, right? Background. VeVe partnered with Funko, and they did this Iron Man digital drop, right? And if you bought the Iron Man, it was a blind box. If you bought it, you could have the common, which I got all 5 common. I can't remember how many I bought. They were all commons. Worst luck ever. And they were all like terrible mint numbers too. But anyways, so if you bought that, you could have a chance of different rarities. But David Yu offered. So this is the only time that I'm aware of to date where VeVe was not able to actually keep the #1 digital, right? And so David Yu offered, was it a $15,000 bounty? A $40,000 bounty on anyone who got the mint #1 digital version. It has not been redeemed yet. So it's not like someone hasn't entered the code to actually redeem it. And the code, the codes expire. And I don't know if people know this, but the codes expire a year after purchase, right? So you say 9 days?
9 days.
So someone, if they do not open up their box and mint that is missing out on at least $40,000.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna hit on this because this is actually part of our agenda, the topic here. I don't know how to say this. Audi Chef West, I'm guessing, maybe I said that right. Audi Chef West. Please pray tell why the stonewalling from the team. I think that they're referring to like the AMAs, right? We have it. I saw another post where like the last AMA with like Dan and David, I think was from like, well, no, I know that, well, an actual AMA with Dan and David where it was them doing it. Yeah, I think that someone said it was like a year and a half ago. Now, I know that Dan and David have been on channels and talked before because Dan talked in like November or October of last year. That's the last time I recall seeing Dan. David has been on multiple channels and he's talked and things. And then on top of that, you actually had Corey and My Collectibles, that they would do these kind of like clips. I don't know if you call them AMAs, but basically where they would bring on people from the team and they would talk about that and answer some of the questions that are outstanding in the community. They haven't done that in a while, but I would like to throw it out to you guys and get your thoughts on, do you think that it's time for another AMA of just kind of like, hey, here's where VeVe's at. Here's kind of like the roadmap going forward with no like dates, but like here's what we're trying to build towards, or what are you guys' thoughts on that?
It would be great if they did more AMAs. I think a couple reasons why they're not. Number one is it's hard, I think, for David to not say stuff he's not supposed to say. And when you're dealing with multiple licensors, if you actually spill the beans accidentally on something, it can breach some kind of contract. Secondly, it's hard to under-promise and over-deliver when you love sharing with the community what's going on. And when you come on, you just want to tell everyone what's going on and what your plan is and what those expected dates are. So as much as everyone like used to complain, oh my gosh, they keep promising this and they never deliver, that has secondary consequences when you say stuff like that, like then it seems like, okay, well, we're just going to promise less and shoot, in order to promise less, we're going to do less AMAs. I think there's probably multiple factors going into that. Secondly, David is super busy. Like that doesn't mean he can't jump on a video call for an hour, but it is hard to get anything on his schedule. There are 7 million things pulling for his attention, and Randy knows him pretty well. And, Randy was telling me David was here in this part of the world and then here and then here and then here. And like, holy cow, like those are like insane hours that he keeps. And I think it's cool personally that he can work so much and not get exhausted, because when you see him, even though he's working so much, like he's full of energy. I think it has to do with him working within his passion, but he is super busy all the time. And only, I think those of us who are invested in OMI and VeVe, I think we're blessed because we have somebody leading the company that's so passionate about this. He doesn't see it as work. He doesn't feel it as work. So therefore he can work more than normal hours. I would love to see more AMAs with him. Can they do it? I think if they make it a priority, they could. And then they just have to be careful with like not sharing expectations when they think things will be done, in case deadlines get missed. And then you have everyone saying, oh my gosh, they lie. This is software development, essentially. Timelines get missed a lot.
No. I know Audi Chef West says he's talking about VeVeverse burning program MCP. I mean, 2 years ago, well, when did MCP, we all started getting them? 2023, right? I think January 2023, we all started getting our MCP points.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, we didn't have it. Like we were, that was one of the floating points.
I think it's like March or April is when, anyways, continue.
Okay. So, but yeah, 2 years ago, we didn't have it. And one of the main floaters points was like Yeah, they keep talking about MCP. It's not coming. It's like, okay, well, it came, and then it's like, well, only like 25 or 50% of people have it. And then, okay, everyone has it. Well, yeah, you have it, but you can't do anything with it. Okay, well, now we have every single drop you're able to use your MCP points with. But like the first time it dropped, everyone was just like, oh, this is trash. It doesn't work properly, because again, they to launch something and to expect that there would be no bugs is just not realistic. And I know that you have to constantly stress and test, but you do have to launch. And when you launch, there's going to be bugs. So for the MCP, I'm not sure what else you mean. What else you want us to have? Do you want us to have more ways to use them? We'll be able to use them with to buy bronze tickets, or to sell those bronze tickets for more MCP points. And there'll be other drops, like we've had the Banksy drop, or we had like 1 million MCP points we could burn. There'll be other drops like that. I don't know what else you mean for that. As far as VeVeverse goes, yeah, I same thing. We're kind of left in the dark here. I wish there was a 10-second video update of saying, hey, here's what you can do. Here's what this might look like in multiple different engines. They have not done that yet. I'm not sure why, but again, Earth 2 does that. I think it works very well. As far as what Rain said, yeah, I remember talking to David once. I was like, hey, try to get some sleep on the plane, because he was up for so many hours at that point. I was like, that's the only time I could get work done. Because from the second he lands, it's just emails and meetings. And, again, for those of you who don't know, he doesn't just have like the meeting with like one person at Disney. Disney alone is made up of dozens of different companies. And he has to have meetings with all of them. Like you can go and look at the licensors. Like there's Disney, and there's Fox, and there's Century 21, and there's, again, Walt Disney Studios is different from the Walt Disney Animation Studios, which is different from Disney Theme Parks, which is different from so there's so many of them, and they all want his attention, because they all want to have their spot in the sunlight, and they want to all have to make sure that their product gets sold, because it makes them look good. That's on top of anyone that's owned a business will know that you don't just have your problems that you have to deal with. You have your employees' problems that you have to deal with. You have one person whose girlfriend's cheating on him, one person whose kids won't talk to him, one person who's going through a divorce. And when David has that times 150 people, and everyone wants FaceTime with the boss, it gets. I don't know how he's still ambulatory, to be honest, doing this for so many years. I think part of the reason that he is because he does love this. He's having a blast. But yeah, that's kind of my remarks on that.
Well, I think it'd be great to get someone's opinion from the team, right? So why don't we do that? Right here. Foster says, great chat, gents. We'll offer that it's the CEO's job to deliver and the communicators to communicate. So obviously you have the community manager for OMI, which is Foster Hilt, and the community manager for VeVe, which is My Collectibles. And he says, hence why My Collectibles for VeVe and I for OMI are available and interact so much, which is true. If you guys looked, and we're going to talk about this a little bit, at least it's on our agenda too. We've gone off on some tangents, so I don't know if we'll be able to get to everything here.
Stream all night.
But Foster was answering questions today about that, right? And in fact, why don't we do that? Why don't we just jump to this real quick? So one of our agenda topics is, why is OMI moving off of the VeVe app? Now, I took this agenda item because of a response that Foster had to some questions here. So, but to kind of close out that whole thing, I would love another AMA. I love the communicators, and maybe it's past that time where like we no longer see Dan and David doing AMAs. I would love for them to come out and say that, be like, hey guys, we're handing over the reins completely, and from here on out, all communications and all AMAs are going to go through like our community managers, and that's how it's going to be. And this is where I think communication if there's one thing that like I still say that VeVe could improve upon is the transparency and communication. Even when it's just to say like, hey guys, no updates right now. We're still working on things. That's communicating, right? It's when there's nothing that people start making up their own narratives, right? So Foster helped. I'm going to share my screen here in just a second, right? But let's see, just so that I get this right.
So you're talking about the Garbiel's comment saying, "Why is VeVe trying to detach itself from OMI as much as possible?" I have it here if you need me to read it.
Yeah. Do you want to read that?
Sure. So Foster goes and says, having self-custody has nothing to do with detaching. It's just a standard Web3 practice for security of your tokens. And that was it for, as far as that response goes. So, I mean, you don't hire a whole blockchain team. Like, if you're detaching yourself away from the token, that's silly.
Oh, you know what? Like he says, happy to. I'm gonna send. Like, let's get Foster on here real quick.
Yeah.
Give me just a second.
My bay.
And this is great, right? Like I love that Foster and my collectibles. Like I feel like they are present. My collectibles is everywhere too, commenting on people's posts, retweeting influencers' posts. He's doing giveaways. I've seen so much more interaction from VeVe and on socials once my collectibles was hired. It's phenomenal to see. I really appreciate that, and Foster as well. Sorry, I'm laughing at one of my chats that I had with Foster. I was just reading one of our chats that came up as I was sending him this message here. So let's see if he pops on here and get some clarity to some of the comments, right? So, but basically, people are concerned, number one, that the OMI token is being used on Stacker and not on VeVe. And basically some comments about, here we go. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Foster Help.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, Foster?
What's going on, gents? Good to see you guys. Good to see you.
I'm going to think you're live with us because we'll probably get more viewers that way.
Yeah, I was just I was having a casual night just listening to you guys can't hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Why does this happen to me?
Randy, what's going on with I don't know. It's like
I don't know. It's okay, Foster. I'll read your sexy lips.
I'm gonna see if I can. Can you hear me now?
I hear you fine.
I hear
you said something
great.
About. I mean, it's fine. I'll do my best.
Testing.
That's weird.
No, we need Randy to be able to hear me. We need to have a good conversation. So.
Wait, are you assuming that Rain and I can't ask you?
Yeah. You know what? You guys are good company too.
Well,
I mean, you guys can hear me. 10 seconds
delayed says we need Randy to be able to hear me.
Yeah.
Are you, Randy? Are you watching this in StreamYards or are you watching it on YouTube?
No,
he's both right now. He's watching on StreamYard and he's listening on YouTube so that he can hear, because for some reason his StreamYard isn't conveying your voice.
Okay, weird.
Oh, yeah, it's good. All right, I don't know. I hear you now. You're fine.
Okay.
Oh, weird.
Perfect.
Okay,
right,
cool. Yeah, thanks for having me on, gents. Yeah, I've been listening for the last hour or so, kind of incognito in the background, just enjoying one of my favorite weekly shows that you guys put on. I always appreciate you guys talking about OMI and getting the community involved, getting their feedback, and discussing your thoughts as well. It was on O'Malley's space earlier tonight as well, so it's always great to see so much coverage going on a nightly basis, with so many great community members. But yeah, I saw you guys were going to be talking about the comments, so I'll let you discuss it. But if you have any questions or want any clarification or whatever, happy to provide it. I know there's a couple comments that I got. People were maybe a little bit confused or unsure of the spirit behind what I was referring to, and I think people are potentially looking at it as a bad thing, which it most certainly is not. So yeah, any clarification I can provide, and I'm sure it'll end up getting clipped and end up on socials anyways. So any way we can provide clarification to anyone or answer any questions that the community may have, that's what I'm here for. So.
Well,
yeah, in summary, it's just a concern that, like, oh my gosh, is VeVe distancing themselves from OMI because they're now pushing OMI off the app, and so with them already having that concern, it shows up as another way that they're concerned. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, Rain, I totally get that perspective, and if you're looking at it from kind of a very cursory point of view and you just kind of stop by and glance at it, and especially out of context, I mean, I totally get where people are coming from when they see, hey, OMI is no longer going to be custodied on the VeVe app. And one of the main reasons behind that decision, I mean, there's several, right? But one of them that needs to be considered is the prospect of self-custody, right? And so everyone knows right now, same with the collectibles as well as your tokens, they're in a wallet on VeVe that is assigned specifically to you, but it's a custodian wallet that's controlled by VeVe. And so, in light of regulations and how we do our best to stay on top of them and also be proactive and anticipate regulations that are going to be coming from different world events and things that happen in crypto, FTX really shined a spotlight on the concerns surrounding one entity or provider being the self-custody provider of an asset, the issuer of an asset, which in their case was the FTX token. And then they also had the Alameda situation as well, where they were, loaning assets against things that they didn't actually own to mint tokens out of thin air. And so these new rules are likely to come about where, having a situation like your tokens on the platform where you're also purchasing the collectibles off of the same platform, it's all happening on the same ecosystem. And we've seen what happened with Dapper Labs and the lawsuit that they went through and the $4 million settlement with their suit that came about in the last year or so. We've also seen moves, Cryptoys and McFarlane both using third-party marketplaces providers for their secondary market. And all of that, I mean, really shows that in the licensed digital collectible space, everyone is kind of understanding. They're talking to the same people. They're speaking with regulators. They're understanding kind of what is expected and what are the rules within the sandbox that we need to play in. And one of those things is inevitably going to be ensuring that you don't have all of those things in one place, right? We don't want people to have their tokens that aren't self-custodied, have their collectibles that aren't self-custodied, and then have VeVe, potentially be looked at as a broker or an exchange or anything that it's not, right? So VeVe is a store for digital collectibles, and at the end of the day, that is what it is. So how do we make sure that in the minds of not only the community, but in the minds of regulators who are going to be the ones that really cause the headaches for people, that it's clear to them as well? So we need to remove any of that ambiguity. And as a part of that, it's ensuring that you have self-custody. And, it's funny because this is actually something that for a long time, the community, and especially if you're anyone that's in Web3, I mean, it's a very standard thing, right? Like it's taken a long time for us to get to this point where people have even been okay having their tokens on VeVe because they don't control the keys to the wallet. And so now we're returning that utility to what Web3 native is meant to be. You control the keys to your wallet. The Privy wallet is a self-custody wallet, no different than a MetaMask or a Coinbase wallet or a Uniswap wallet, Trust wallet, anything like that. But you control the keys. So inevitably, you own the crypto that is in your wallet, whether it be the OMI token or any other token for that matter. So having that custody returned to you, well, yeah, you're not holding it on the VeVe app, but as I had mentioned in my initial tweet, and as was mentioned before, you're still getting all that same utility and benefits for the VeVe platform that you would have had whether you had it directly on VeVe or not. You're still earning the daily bonus MCP points up to 10 million OMI. You're still earning the seasonal rewards, whether it be the bronze tickets, the bonus MCP, or limited airdrops or whatever else may come over time as the system continues to get built out. You'll earn other perks, rewards, and features. You may get access to exclusive drops or items or different things that could come about for having the self-custody. Now, that's the only thing that's changing. You're still going to have it in a wallet, still going to be linked directly to VeVe. When you pair your Stacker Privy wallet with VeVe, the API will connect them. It'll still be connected. You'll still earn all of the same rewards, if not more, that you would have if you had it on VeVe. But it just removes that ambiguity when it comes to regulatory clarity. And it also gives users peace of mind. And we're looking to cater to everyone, and that also includes Web3. And people who are native Web3 don't necessarily feel comfortable with moving their OMI tokens onto the VeVe platform because they lose control of what they can do with those tokens. Now, I don't have any personal concerns about it. I'm someone that's held 10 million OMI in the VeVe app for over a year now. I've enjoyed the OMI rewards that I've received. I know that you guys earn them as well, but there are many in the community that may not feel as comfortable with that. So by allowing this self-custody alternative, it ensures that people can feel safe and secure, knowing that they have the custody of their tokens and can do whatever they would like with them, but at the same time, still provide them with those utility features of being able to use OMI to NFT, being able to use rewards, and just kind of build out the ecosystem.
So I have to make a comment. I think you can just never please everyone, right? Like, it's so funny to me because for the longest time it was like why can't I use OMI within the VeVe app, and or like hold the OMI token with all my VeVe stuff. So then you guys make that happen, and then there's people who are just like, why would we trust VeVe to hold our assets? This is crazy. You're crazy. Look at FTX, which I actually think is a valid argument. And I think that VeVe was opening themselves up to quite a bit of risk, right? With custodying those assets, not just from like, as we saw with Definity, like the potential for hacks of like a wallet or like anything like that, but then also from regulators saying, hey, you're a custodian or you're an exchange or anything like that. And so I do think that it was a smart move to kind of move this over. And this is me just as someone who looks at the whole Web3 space, and I read a lot of the lawsuits and regulation and all these things that is going on. I'm very fascinated by all of that, right? And I really try to keep apprised of all of that. Read up on the Dapper Labs lawsuit and all those things. And I was one of the first people to come out and basically be saying that when Stacker was the one that we were going to really be seeing the OMI utility, how smart it was that VeVe or Ecomi was doing that, right? That they were separating and basically allowing, because there's that whole Howie prong of based on the efforts of others, and by having a third-party marketplace where all of that is exchanged, it really removes any potential liability from that standpoint on that. And I guess, but like now people are just like, oh, like I'm mad that like you're moving to Stacker and I want everything on VeVe. Like, but then there's people who are really happy that it's just funny, man. Like you can't please everyone, but who they really need to please, unfortunately, are the regulators. And just keeping VeVe safe from potential targets on their backs, and Ecomi themselves on that too. So I love what you guys are doing here. And this is the actual comment that I wanted to address. VeVe Meister had put out this tweet that basically said, after OMI has a new base, play on words, and OMI to NFT, it will no longer be needed to keep OMI in the Ecomi IMX wallet. The seasonal rewards will continue on base. So if you have an L2 OMI on IMX, what do you intend to do with them? And then there's a bridge back. So he's asking the community, if you have OMI on the VeVe app through the IMX bridge, right, on L2, what are you going to do with it? Some people said, I'm going to bridge back my L2 tokens to L1. I'm going to bridge via Stacker and sell. I'm going to bridge via Stacker through and use digital collectibles. Or I'm going to keep on IMX. And actually, a lot of, like 40% of the respondents said, I'm just going to keep it on IMX. To which Foster then responded, and I think it's important to try to inform the community, even though I feel like I'm aware of this as I keep up to date with what Ecomi tweets and posts out, what you said. But it says daily/seasonal rewards will transition to a self-custody model with your Privy wallet on Stacker. So basically it's saying that right now your daily rewards are going to be accounted for when it's on the Privy wallet. Not only will there be no reason to keep your OMI in your VeVe wallet, there will come a time post-transition where you will be requested to remove and self-custody it. Basically, VeVe's like, look, we don't want to handle it anymore. We're asking you to move it off. People will still be welcome to keep their OMI in the IMX ecosystem in another wallet, but they will not be able to it will not be the custody of VeVe/Ecomi, and you will not be rewarded for them. Basically, again, they're trying to separate themselves from custodying those assets and removing that liability. And all of the benefits of the token now are going to basically be the OMI on base. So there will no longer really be a need at all for L2 OMI tokens through IMX. I hope that we're making that clear. That in the near future, right? And correct me if I'm wrong on that, Foss, but in the near future, there will be a time where there truly will be almost no reason to have IMX OMI, L2 OMI on IMX.
Yeah. So, I mean, to be fair, I mean, the IMX marketplace does accept OMI as a token, and there are different collections on there that you can purchase. So, you know, Gods Unchained as an example, I think is one of their more popular ones. So if you wanted to use your OMI tokens in a self-custodied wallet that supports the IMX layer, to purchase those collectibles, you most certainly could. But so far as kind of the VeVe side of things, where the OMI token is concerned, they'll just be in your self-custody wallet. And the reason that we're doing everything on base, well, to be honest, there's a plethora of reasons, but one being, I mean, you just look at the data and the stats. You know, when we made this decision, we didn't have the benefit of knowing that this is the route that it was going to go. But at the same time, you know, we've seen Base just absolutely take over as a layer 2 on Ethereum. I mean, it was the fastest growing layer 2 on Ethereum by TVL, and, you know, by users, I think they're up to 14 million monthly users now. And so by being on Base, we're directly exposing that user base and the Coinbase user base and you know, a mainstream user base and audience, but also a Web3 audience as well, about the OMI token and about VeVe and about the collectibles, what it has to offer. And, you know, Stacker's done a great job with stepping up when it comes to creating accessibility and utility for their marketplace. So they're sponsoring all of the gas transactions that are taking place on layer 2. So all the transactions that you do on the OMI to NFT marketplace are sponsored. Any of the swaps that you do to or from OMI into USDC or Ethereum are sponsored. The bridge, which is not live quite yet, but that will allow you to effectively one-click bridge your IMX OMI into Base, which right now is not an option. Right now, you have to bridge from IMX back to ERC layer 1 and then up to Base layer 2, which means, you know, 3 or 4 separate gas fees, at least a day, if not more, when you account for the IMX bridge roll up. And it's just a headache. So Stacker is going to enable basically one-click bridging, where they're also going to sponsor the transaction fees. So basically, OMI will be the only token that you need in your wallet in order to interact, which, for those of you that are in Web3 and understand the importance of that, I mean, you need Ethereum to do anything in a wallet these days. And so you're not going to need that because it's all going to be sponsored. You're going to have fiat onboarding options to pick up OMI if you don't have any because you want to use it as a utility token in the OMI to NFT ecosystem. There's going to be, you know, a ton of different options that just Base really enables us to take advantage of. Rewarding functions and features as well. And so, you know, IMX as an ecosystem obviously has been great for the NFTs and, you know, what VeVe has done with the digital collectibles over time. But just seeing the direction that, you know, crypto is moving, that layer 2s are moving, and that, you know, Base is looking to do when they're looking to onboard the next 100 million users into crypto and on chain. It's just a logical place for the OMI token to be and for us to build out a marketplace that people can interact in, because it's just going to be so crypto friendly for people that don't understand crypto natively, but also not so simple that people that are already in the Web3 space are offended by having to use it, because they can also rely on it being backed by Coinbase and understanding the connections and importance there.
We got Turtle saying that someone just bought one of his items listed on Stacker, and so there's a little less OMI in the universe.
Yes. You guys, you burned, what, 100,000 OMI?
Yeah, I think I saw someone posted. I'll be honest with you, I don't monitor the wallets at this point when we're in beta. Just the way that we have it set up, they're all going to different wallets for different transaction fees, for, you know, marketplace royalties, for the burn wallet and things of that nature. Right now, that is not like, it's a burn wallet in the sense that those tokens will be removed, but it's still recoverable. Like the team still has the keys to it, just because we don't want anyone to complete a transaction, have a smart contract kind of act up, or have something go awry, and then someone loses all of their OMI and we have no way to recover it. So while we're in beta, we still make sure that we have the keys for that, just to make sure that we test it. But then once it goes live, it'll just be reassigned to a layer 1 wallet, which the bridging will be done by a smart contract in the back end every so often, and it'll just permanently remove those tokens from circulating supply. So yeah, I think it's at 100,000, which is fun. I mean, the direction that we were giving users that are in the beta are not to list items that are more than, you know, $5 in the marketplace. So we're purposely keeping the purchases low because it's not about giving anyone an advantage by being in the beta. It's to test the ecosystem. We want to make sure that purchases are going through, that you're able to list items, that sales are working okay, that you can remove listings, that you can spam list items, and that you can't refresh, that two people can't buy something at the same time, and just basically doing everything that we'll want to make sure we'll focus the user base on once we get. And I know, Randy, you were mentioning earlier in the stream, like it's fine if 5 or 10 users are using it, but what does it look like when 1,000 people are using it? So as we start to roll more features in, it's because we're more and more confident on the load that can be sustained. And I think people are going to be pretty happy with the progress that we've been making. I know you referenced, a couple of people that that have recently been invited in. And I'm sure the people that have been in there since the first group have kind of seen the iterations of progress and having alpha tested it to the point that where we are now. We're making progress very quickly. Stacker has been incredible to work with. Their team is very receptive. They've been able to work with, the VeVe and OMI blockchain team to really integrate all the features, make sure the APIs and everything are working, and that all the calls and functions are going well. So, it's a lot of fun, and I know people are anxiously looking forward to utilizing it. And I think at some point in the next, couple weeks or so, hopefully I'm able to start sharing some of my experiences there a little bit more publicly. I think our next step is going to be to remove the back-end auth so that, everyone's going to be able to at least view the website. Your account will still need to be whitelisted in order to utilize it. But we're kind of at the point now where we're happy with the front end and how it looks and everything, where, people are going to be able to start seeing it and see what's going on. And I'm sure people will start, making videos and sharing screenshots and stuff. So, it's exciting. It's going well. And, the people that have been in it have been giving us, fantastic feedback thus far.
I'm just happy that you watched this stream, Foster. Brings warm feelings to my heart.
Of course, buddy.
That's awesome, man.
I mean, OMI is my homie, right? So
yes,
that's
right.
Still got my collectors at
Man, I'm so bummed that I wasn't there in New York to potentially get one of those freaking tokens, man. But I am not making the same mistake twice. I'm excited to be there this year. I'm so pumped for that. I'm not gonna put you on the hot seat, Foster, because I know that it's not something that you can talk about. But I'm gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna watch your reaction, facial expressions.
Oh no!
Basically, Steven, shout out to you, Steven. He says, Foster, let's get a couple exchanges before the end of the year. David did say OMI was the focus this year. That to me sounds like it should be a given for the year. And then he says, U.S. exchanges only. Here's my comment on that, right? The U.S. is a pretty treacherous place right now for any crypto project. It really is, right? And especially to have your token listed on those exchanges. We've seen where the SEC has literally targeted certain tokens on that exchange and said, hey, Coinbase, you are operating as an unregistered securities exchange, and by listing these tokens, which we believe are securities, right? Now, they've gone after some of those tokens in lawsuits as well. So one of the things that I think that I would expect any token, not just OMI, but any token out there to cover themselves would be to be able to demonstrate that they truly are a utility token. So what would that require? Well, that would require to demonstrate that there's utility and that there's a use case for this token, right? So before I see OMI ever listed on a U.S. exchange or any other token for that matter, if they truly want to protect themselves, right, is they would make sure that that utility truly is in place and that it's functioning, that there's a separation, right? As we're seeing all these other lawsuits, that they're looking at that and seeing all these things. So as I start to see Stacker World, right, being this third-party marketplace, as I start to see VeVe not custodying OMI, as I see all of that moving away, where VeVe is truly separating itself from Ecomi, the token, and the use case for that, but that there is utility built in, that's when I could start to see the possibility of OMI or any other token potentially being listed on a U.S. exchange and not before. So to that point, though, Stephen, if we're saying OMI is a focus for this year. I am starting to see these moves, which would then allow them at some point in the future, in a more near future, make the case of being able to be listed on a U.S. exchange and not be worried about the SEC coming after them, because they have demonstrated that utility of the token and they've separated themselves out from that. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's, it's some great points. I mean, obviously we have we have legal teams and we have people working, on exchanges and stuff in the background. Obviously my job at the end of the day is to communicate. I'm not the decision maker that puts the rubber stamp on kind of anything, but, I think you've hit on some very interesting points, especially when it comes to US regulations. And unfortunately, I mean, even as recently as today, Uniswap Labs, I believe, was sued again for allegations of them selling unregistered securities and stuff, and it just feels like it's a never ending cycle right now. I mean, it's politics, right? Is really what it boils down to. People are looking for that moment to make the name for themselves and do whatever. And the problem with the lack of clarification when it comes to regulations is that you often end up having to err on the side of caution. Now, that being said, it doesn't mean that exchanges aren't a priority or anything like that, but it does say, it does mean, I should say, that we have to look at accessibility in many forms. And I've kind of mentioned that, several times. I've mentioned it, in tweets that I put out. I've mentioned it in live streams and stuff that I've been on. But, centralized exchanges are one avenue to exchange the token. But there's also several other avenues to do it as well. So does it mean that exchanges aren't a priority? No, absolutely not. They're certainly a priority, right? That's accessibility and utility. But, as we work to build out OMI to NFT on Stacker, as we work towards accessibility features, I mean, having one-click OMI and being able to buy OMI with fiat directly is massive, in my opinion, right? Because to the masses, they don't care what the OMI token is. It could be V-Bucks on Fortnite, it could be Call of Duty points, it could be whatever. They don't care what it is. They just see an item that they want listed on a marketplace for $10 worth of OMI, and they go, okay, well, I need to get this OMI token. How do I get it, right? And so, does anyone care what gems are on VeVe, right? Does anyone actually care? Do they take the time to? Well, no. I need 10 gems to buy something, and okay, cool. Oh, I need 10,000 OMI to buy this. How do I get 10,000 OMI? How much is 10,000 OMI going to buy me, right? And if it's a super simple process to acquire that 10,000 OMI, well, then you're going to buy it because it's as simple as putting a credit card in and purchasing it. It's that simple, right? It's why people have fallen in love with VeVe and why it was so easy for such a long time to utilize VeVe. It's linked to the App Store. You entered your credit card information. And if you didn't already have it saved and you just picked a multiple of the gems you wanted to buy and you purchased it. So, having fiat onboarding, having centralized exchanges that are accessible to US users as well as to everyone, of course, a priority. Having DEXs is also a priority as well. Having the ability to swap, in the Uniswap pool. I understand people, I think right now we have just over $300,000 in liquidity in there, but people go, hey, I want to make a big purchase or sell or whatever they want to do with their tokens, and I can't make it without too much slippage. A priority to make sure that that's stocked up as well. So
thanks for addressing that for me, Foster. I was being a little whiny.
No, you're good. And you know what?
What's up with this slippage? What's going on here?
No, I think you've brought up some great points, and but hey, I hear people's frustrations, right? Like I certainly do. Like people want, especially in the US, with the Bitforex situation, it's been a long road, and being on base is fantastic for a lot of reasons, but for whatever reason, I feel as though people feel that a token doesn't have validity unless it's listed on XYZ exchange, which is, that's fine, right? That's their prerogative. But at the end of the day, our focus is, and as you perfectly stated, Doc, our focus is on making sure that it's crystal clear cut to anyone that asks that OMI is first and foremost a utility token. What you choose to do with it as a utility token, 100% your business, right? If you want to trade it on an exchange, your business, whatever, doesn't affect me, right? Hey, but boss, to anyone that comes knocking, we just need to make that 100% clear.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off because I love you're on the roll, but I have to go pick up my daughter, and I was like, we're not ending this stream while we have you on here. So I'm going to leave. I'm going to keep this all rolling and stuff, and then I'll be back. So, but I just got to go pick up the daughter. You guys continue to chat, and hopefully you guys are still here when I get back because I'd love to continue this discussion.
Look who you're talking to. We'll go all night. This is
I will not go all night, but I am here to answer questions while I can, for sure.
We're basically saying the same thing, except one of us says we're going to, and the other one's saying we're not. It's just that one extra word.
Yeah, but you know what? I think Doc brings up some great points, and I know Rain was kind of hitting on earlier, just like in the mentality when you've been here for a while and you kind of understand the direction that things are headed, it kind of just gives you peace of mind, and that's just in general. That's just a generalized statement, and so right now, I think what I've kind of learned to overcome over the last 10 months or so since joining the company is that timelines for me look potentially very different than timelines to someone in the community, because I'm always thinking 6 to 12 months in the future. What do things look like? So when I speak with, gravitas and confidence and whatever, it's not to blow smoke at anyone. It's not to sell anyone a bag of goods on anything. It's because I believe in the direction that we're headed. And to me, it feels tangible that that's the direction that we're headed. But I also fully recognize that that's why communication is so important, because for 99.99% of people who are sitting here watching this, or who are just in the community in general, they don't have that peace of mind. They're looking for that communication. They're looking for that clarification on things. So, I do my best to play kind of in the sandbox that I've been given, so that I don't get slapped on the wrist too much about the things that I communicate. But, we're headed in a very positive direction when it comes to being able to provide features and utilities for the token and making it accessible for people. But it's really going to be up to VeVe collectors and people who utilize the OMI token to decide what that means in general. Because, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that's the reality in this situation, is we can give all the features, all of the roadmaps, all of the everything, but what people choose to do with that information or choose to utilize or whatever the case may be is going to fall on each individual. So, I try and balance that as much as I can. I try and give people information where I can. And I know it's frustrating. Sometimes people have questions that don't necessarily have answers, or at least don't have answers right now. But, where we can, we really do try and make it clear our intentions as to where we're moving in a direction. We just don't provide, specific timeframes. By next Tuesday, this will happen, because we've just learned time and time again that providing timelines, it as Rain said earlier in the stream, you want to underpromise and overdeliver. Because if people never know what your next move is, and every time you exceed their expectations, it's very hard to find something to be upset about. Whereas if you promise people the world, anything short of the world is going to be considered a disappointment. So why hype people up? Why get them excited? Let your actions speak for themselves. And I think so far this year, we've shown and proven that when we set out to accomplish something, that we do. Anyone that has access to the OMI and NFT beta can attest to that. And so, as we continue on throughout 2024 and beyond, it doesn't mean OMI stops becoming a priority to David or to the company, January 1st, 2025, right? Like it's a priority for this year, which is fantastic, because it hasn't necessarily been as prioritized the years previous, but this is going to be the year that kickstarts that priority for every subsequent year moving forward.
So I'm going to ask you a question, because I know lots of new people are thinking this question, because really a lot of the complaints really boil down to OMI's price hasn't gone up. So I'll say it in the way that they would ask it. This is not the question I would ask. If OMI is a priority, why does the OMI token keep going down in price?
I mean, if Randy wants to tackle that, that's totally up to him. Obviously, for me, like I'm not going to, just in my capacity, like it wouldn't be responsible for me to speculate on price or anything like that. I mean, at the end of the day, our goal is to work on the deliverables that we've set out for, throw in the occasional surprise here and there to keep things interesting, but really, the focus is on driving that utility for the token, and hopefully people understand the use case behind that utility. And I think as people start to use, OMI to NFT, and I think as certain macro factors start to change in the world, hopefully people, become more interested and want to collect digital collectibles. And, so I think someone asked earlier in the chat, is the idea to have the VeVe store be, gem only, and then have Stacker be the secondary marketplace? I'm not going to go so far as to say that here today, but what I will say is, when it comes to the secondary market, if people don't want to use the OMI token to purchase collectibles, I will feel as though I've failed at providing that correct incentive and utility for the token in order to make people want to utilize it. You need to educate them on what the token is. You need to expose them to the benefits that are behind it. And then you need to give them reasons to actually want to utilize it and make it super accessible for them to do so. I mean, it's really I break it down and make it sound very straightforward. It's never as simple as you break it down to be, but realistically, like I said, if the vast majority of people that are using VeVe, if VeVe is truly going to have millions and millions and millions of users one day, which we all hope that it does, 95% of them won't know what OMI is off the top when you download it. But once again, if you don't need to know what OMI is for 95% of people to use it, I still believe that as a utility token, it's going to be very successful because you've created that use case. I mean, people don't necessarily know what Ethereum is when they're buying collectibles. They don't understand gas. They don't, like, when you're new to something, you're new to it, right? So how do you make it simple enough that everyone that's new to it can use it and enjoy it and not have to overthink about it, and still make it so that people that have been in Web3 for years, that understand potentially more about crypto and the benefits behind certain tokens, can still benefit from it as well.
You're so articulate. I love the way you answered all your different questions. As an investor, it gives me good confidence that the utility of the token is coming together. So I think about prices, and often current price doesn't always reflect future value, sometimes doesn't even reflect present value. Randy was sharing earlier about Tesla and how Tesla wasn't showing any profits. And so, everyone was freaking out about Tesla's stock price and how it blah, 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 and it sucks. And look, they're negative again, but they were negative again because they were reinvesting all the money. So people that could look deeper are like, oh, this is going to add up to really good things. And you know what? I'm sure the arguments back then were, you're stupid. What are you talking about? Tesla sucks. Tesla this. Tesla, Elon Musk lied. And, just all this commentary that's based in emotion because they couldn't see what things were adding up to. I love the cases that you made for what OMI is doing or what VeVe and Akomi are doing for the utility for the token, because I like what that adds up to.
To play on Foster's words before, where it says you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You can lead a human to knowledge, but you can't make them think. They had Ernie Malice, whose profile is now public, posted a couple of pictures today or yesterday of the dinner that he and the level 100s had with David. And he said, I believe in this group. This will be a night we all remember at car dealerships, boat dealerships, private planes. I truly believe this. He says, I'm an OMI moon boy, or whatever you want to call it. 305 million and buying as fast as I can. And then you had someone with, and he's pretty much a silent whale. He's not really too public. But then you have someone that is very public, like the Modern Investor, respectable, 30,000 followers on Twitter, very respectable, 250,000 subscribers over on YouTube, asking about the price of OMI. And he says, oh my God, 1 ETH is 6 million OMI now? Crap, I need to buy more. So as far as the price is concerned, it's just you had a bunch of people that were first-time investors that bought either at all-time highs, doesn't even have to be all-time highs, just higher than it is today. And you have those people that are locking in losses to chase in other things. And that's why I wish them luck. I wish everyone luck. We need more positivity in that world. But again, just to take back that Pareto distribution, that's why most people don't make money, because the top 20% will make 80% of the wealth. So if anyone wants to talk about the price, sure, it's down for now. To do with that information what you will.
Yeah.
Do you guys have the ability to pull up comments, or was that only Doc that had the ability to pull up comments from the chat?
I
don't know if I'm seeing all chats or just his chat, but
if you're on this, you should see all chats. Which to which are you referring? We can.
Well, I was just gonna say if there was any ones that you wanted to pull up specifically, or if you guys had any questions. I mean, I know Jason Pena posted a couple things. I think
Yeah, Jason Pena, thank you for being
Pink
a member.
Panther, maybe Steven had one, maybe, or I don't know. Well, whatever.
He said, did you mention an incentive for active Stacker beta participants? Oh, no, that was it. You mentioned before there was a potentially more utility or more rewards for people that have it on Stacker as opposed to VeVe. And I know that, right, you said that on a X comment that there will be a button or Stacker will take care of the migration. We still have to initiate it, but can you explain a little bit more about the technicals of that, like what we might have to do, how many buttons would we have to press, and how complicated will that be? Because it's a pain.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely. So to Jason's comment quickly, so there will be an incentive for active Stacker beta participants. We had put out a poll a week or two ago in the beta chat, just asking people, what they were looking for. And so we've certainly identified, several people who have been contributing a lot to the beta testing. So we're looking at some fun ways to reward them. And then as we continue to go through beta, we might have competitions that we host on Discord where, if people complete a certain amount of trades or do something like that they'll get rewarded with things as well. So just some fun ways to gamify it and kind of give back and thank people for participating in the beta. So yeah, there'll be some fun ways to do that. But so in regards to getting your OMI off of the VeVe web wallet, not a feature that's live yet, and we will be putting out an article once it's out. I think they have it on staging right now on Stacker, and I think that they've been testing it potentially a little bit, but there's also, it's two sides of the house. So VeVe and Ecomi also have to have the feature flag completed where you have it set up so that you actually log into your VeVe web wallet. And basically it's just going to be a button that you click where, for your send receive OMI, you'll just be able to do that. And you'll basically be able to send it to Stacker directly. And then essentially what Stacker is doing is they're donating a pool of OMI that they've created. So effectively you're going to, on the back end, which won't matter to anyone while they're doing it, but you're basically just going to enter in your privy wallet on Stacker for your base OMI. Let's say you're sending 1 million OMI tokens, you'll put in 1 million, you'll go to send it, and then they're sponsoring the gas in the back end via a smart contract. That 1 million tokens will get sent to a smart contract. On the base side, that smart contract will release the equivalent 1 million OMI tokens onto base layer 2. And then because Stacker's sponsoring those gas fees, you don't have to worry about doing anything. And then Stacker, once it's done every so often, every couple 100 million OMI or whatever, they'll manually take the OMI that they've received and, it's their OMI. They can swap it themselves back out to either over to base themselves using the same system, or more likely using, the roll up, the immutable bridge to bring it back down to ERC layer 1 and pay a little bit of gas fees. But they're offering that as a service to users once it goes live, just to make everyone's lives a lot easier. I mean, we've obviously identified, the IMX bridge, thankful to IMX for building out that bridge for our users. But, multiple gas fees, roll up period, and all of this, it's very cumbersome. It's very difficult. And we'd probably have a lot more users utilizing and taking advantage of the OMI ecosystem on VeVe had it been a more simplistic process. But when we're on base, we won't have to worry about that, because getting the tokens over to base it takes about a minute. I think actually with the new relay bridge, I think I did it in 6 seconds. So, wow. It's very quick. It's very cheap.
Of that, Foster.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely gonna make a video of how to use the relay bridge kind of to and from layer 1, layer 2, and vice versa. And they've basically removed the 7-day kind of blockchain period, the challenge period that is a part of the base ecosystem. And so you'll be able to get your OMI off of base and brought back to ERC layer 1, if you want to, for whatever reason. I think it was even faster. I think it happened in 2 seconds, because it's the same concept. They've created a pool that they're funding on both sides. And so you're basically just swapping the token from one side to the other rather than actually completing the bridge, because they handle all of that in the back end. So it just makes people's life a lot easier. It helps with accessibility, which in turn should help with utility as well. So it's really just about making it like painfully simple to people, to where anyone can figure it out. I go to my grandma and be like, hey, you need to click this one button. And it's like, okay, she figured it out, right? So versus, having to connect your wallet to this third-party site, having to, send this to this, and then, roll this up, and then you do withdraw, or you do transfer, or, when I do it, I still go back and look at the directions. I wrote the thing. So it's not easy enough as it should be. So, yeah, that'll be that. And then what was your second question?
When shorts, not like your shorts as a collectible. I mean, like your short form videos on.
Thought you meant the shorts I'm wearing right now.
Show that leg, Foster. You look like you're about to stop
I'm
traffic.
Pale as all heck right now, but yeah, definitely going to put out a short about how to do that bridge, and then probably a full form video as well. Want to make sure the OMI and NFT beta continues to go well, but base, when we say will be the primary layer for OMI utility, that's where everything's going to play out. That's where you're going to get rewarded. That's where you're going to be able to participate in OMI and NFT. It's really the only place that you're going to need or want to have your OMI. Realistically, most cold storage wallets support base layer 2 OMI anyways, like your Ledger or your Trezors or your MetaMask or Uniswap wallets, like all of them support base layer 2 OMI. So there won't really be a need to have OMI on Ethereum layer 1 unless you just want to pay more gas fees for no reason. Really the only advantage right now is to be able to transfer them onto exchanges, because exchanges don't accept base layer 2 deposits at this time. But I think as base as a layer 2 becomes more popular, especially if OMI becomes a heavily utilized token on base, a lot of exchanges might start to accept OMI deposits on base anyways. So it'll just be avoiding gas fees and saving users money that they can turn around and then spend on collectibles that they want to collect. So
thank you very much. Rain, what you got?
It's a lot of my questions.
All right, cool. So as far as I don't even know if I can, let me try to phrase this in a way that probably doesn't get me in trouble. Publicly, they have not said which licensors will be available for this. For the people that are in Stacker right now and can tell which licensors we can use currently and which licensors we can't, is that subject to change, or is that whatever we have right now that's available on Stacker that's it and it's done?
No. So we've intentionally reduced the amount of collections that are available in the Stacker beta, because once again, the intention behind the beta is not, hey, you can go start trading before everyone else and it creates a separate market, and that's not why the beta is here, right? It's to stress test the system, make sure that it functions correctly, and so we're appreciative to the beta users, because it's doing grunt work is realistically what it is, right? Like everyone's like, oh, I want to be in the beta, but it's like, okay, cool, need you to list 14 collectibles for $5, and then when someone buys it, they're going to relist those same collectibles, you're going to buy them back, because the transfers are actually happening on chain. So if you sell your VeVe Gold logo for $5, well, you no longer have a VeVe Gold logo, right? Someone bought it off of you for $5. So that's why we've intentionally asked people, like, hey, here's a list of collectibles that are $5 or less right now in the VeVe marketplace. Can you turn around, if you own some of those collectibles, put them on the marketplace for sale? If you see one available, purchase it, and then can you then please relist it, so that we can make sure that people either get their collectibles back or can recycle it and stuff like that. So no, the list has been truncated to make sure that we can just test a couple different collectibles with different royalty points. Make sure that there's some 6% collectible, 2.5%, 2%. Make sure the VeVe fees are calculating. Make sure the marketplace fees are calculating correctly. But beyond that, you don't need, I don't know what it is, like 1,000 plus collectibles and comics available right now, because it'd be too hard for people to find new listings to purchase, and B, there's just no point to it, because we don't want someone to accidentally list a Miles Morales for $5, right? Like it's not what it's designed to do. So yeah, that'll get expanded, and I think, and don't quote me on this, but moving forward, once OMI and NFT beta is live, I believe that VeVe will be adding a section on each of the Medium articles. Well, I guess they're not Medium articles, but blog articles that they put out basically indicating to users like listable on Stacker, and it will either say like yes or no, which will just expose everyone to like, hey, what's this Stacker thing? And there'll be some other ways that people find out what Stacker is that I think people will be quite happy about. But that's just one example of, hey, what's the Stacker thing? I want to figure it out. So
can you confirm what the largest purchase has been? Because I know there's been like someone listed like a Donnie, someone listed like a bunch of stuff, and it's for like thousands or tens of thousands of dollars worth of OMI.
Was that on Stacker?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, you know what? I honestly don't know because I don't monitor the market super closely. Like I'm mostly just stress testing it. Like Stacker Analytics would probably have it. But I don't know because realistically, like I said, we're encouraging people to do like $5 transactions. Yeah. So, if two people decided, hey, I'm going to sell something for 10 grand, I mean, they would have paid the licensor fees, they would have paid the royalties, they would have whatever. But I think I saw a spreadsheet the other day of.
Ooh, I love your spreadsheet videos.
Oh, yes, they were ASMR spreadsheets. I'm trying to remember. Let me see if I can find it here.
But so while you're looking at that, you know how whenever like a new horror movie comes out, it'll be like one of the 6 writers from Scary Movie and from the producers of, this movie. Eventually, when you can watch the sunrise on a grateful Akomi-verse, will you decide to step down from your position and do more solo things that, like, from the person that was the original Akomi community manager, come foster? I'm trying to think of a double F word. Foster's Day, or Foster's Fireside Chat, where you sit in front of a burning log and you talk about life and you talk about the meaning.
You know what I'll say to that? The first thing that came to my mind when you said that, shout out to Black Mamba, the Legend 24, Kobe Bryant. They were up 2-0 in the playoffs, and they were being interviewed after being up 2-0. I don't remember who it was against, maybe San Antonio or something. And they were asking him, like, you're sitting there, you don't look happy. Why don't you look happy? And his response was, job's not finished. Job's not finished. And I can't say it as well as him, so I'm not even going to try and do it. But realistically, like, I'm not, like, I don't have personal aspirations beyond this because I don't know what this is, right? Yet. Like, I don't know what this could be, but I took on the role and the challenge because I'm excited to see where it'll go. And I think for me, and, I want to say that it's similar for a lot of people that work for the company and, a lot of the faceless people that no one knows exists, and the blockchain team people that people rumor don't exist, and all these different people. It's like to be able to build something that's bigger than yourself, and to be able to be a part of a change. Like someone in the company asked me last week, we were chatting, and he said, does it ever bother you that Stacker gets so much credit for OMI utility and you guys don't get any credit? And I was like, honestly, I could care less who gets credit, because it's not about the credit, it's about what it represents. So, like, if I fade into oblivion in 5 years, knowing in my heart that I gave it everything that I had and the best outcome comes to fruition, fantastic. Even if the best outcome doesn't come to fruition, if I can hold my head high knowing I gave it everything that I had and I gave it an honest effort, and I can look someone in the eye that I care and respect about and say, you know what, I did everything that I could for this and it turned into this. Hey, that's all the recognition I need, right? Like my wife, the people that I love, that I care about, like, they know how hard I work. The teams that I work with, the company, they know how hard I work. They know how hard everyone works in the company. So it's like, you don't need the recognition because the results are they're gonna speak for themselves. And Reese never got a ton of credit for all the work that he did. And then I started working here and I got absolutely humbled to see like all the incredible hard work that he did. Having to communicate and stay positive through some very turbulent times, and seeing all the highs and all the lows, I will always have infinite. And I could sit out here and fight battles for him and do whatever, but it's really not my place. But suffice to say, like, I will have a lifelong amount of respect for him, just like I have a lifelong amount of respect for David and Dan, having seen them work day in and day out. And see what they're looking to accomplish. So, what does that look like for me in whatever amount of time? I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I'm not too concerned about that yet, but we'll film a video one day on the fireside and reminisce and just be excited about the fact that we were here now and what it'll look like then. So
I think it was Harry Truman that said, "It's amazing what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit." So I'm thankful that you embody that so well. Speaking of Reese was there in New York Comic Con last year.
Yep.
I know you said you would try to come this year. I think you should. I think it's going to be a really fun time. Do you know if Reese is coming this year?
I'm not sure if he's coming this year or not. I think, he likes to come out to the cons and hang out with the fam and stuff. So we'll have to see what his plans are specifically. I haven't asked him quite yet. I still don't know 100% what my plans are. I'm still trying to work it out and make arrangements and figure out kind of what role I'd be coming under, or if I'm just coming as a community member and what that looks like and stuff. So, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, New York Comic Con holds a special place in my heart. I mean, we've had a great time the last couple of years that we've been there, Randy, and shared some special moments. And I think I always tell people anytime I come on a live, like if you've never had the opportunity to go to a physical event, to go to a con, to hang out with the fam, you truly can't appreciate how awesome of an experience it is until you do it in person and really get to check it out. So.
Yeah, Brain didn't stay with me at San Diego, but you, Dr. Stuff, and Cosmo were over like every day. Like, it's so much fun. It's almost like where you sleep doesn't matter, because what matters is like your waking hours and what you want to do with them and who you want to spend those. It's so exciting. It's so much fun.
Absolutely. I got a couple more minutes, guys, and then I got to run. But if you have any final questions, or there was any questions in the audience, I know Doc's going to be disappointed he didn't make it back in time, but I will say one way or another, like, I really appreciate that you guys, host these events on a weekly basis. And obviously I do tune in, in and out most weeks. I don't always comment and stuff. It's just fun to kind of sit in the background. And, I feel like people are being their most genuine versions of themselves when they don't, and not that I feel like you guys would ever cater to me, but sometimes it's fun where I can just sit back and be like, hey, what are their true thoughts about this? And then, the comment about what I had said specifically had come up. So I figured I'd come up just in case anyone had any questions. But, I love that you guys put on these events and that you're still so passionate about the project and the community and stuff. It's guys like you that keep the energy up in the community when things aren't always going 100% and give people things to be excited about. And I think you guys all offer, very unique perspectives based on your experiences and how long you guys have been in the communities. So, it's nice to know and be reaffirmed by people like yourselves that it feels like we're on the right track. And while we still have, a ways to go, the foundation is being built and we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say you're well on track. Like, it's exciting to hear. And thank you for joining us, because I think you articulate what's going on so well. A lot of times is like, I'm an investor, so some people here are just straight up collectors, and so they're interested in different things than me. But I always want to know, like, how strong is the team behind it? What are they doing? What are they accomplishing? What are they working towards? And you did a great job explaining like what they're working towards. I feel like over the past number of years, I've really got an idea of who David Yu is and a lot of the team behind it and that ethos. And I feel very, very comfortable with that. A lot of people get worried, like, OMI's price has gone down for 3 years. Is it ever going to go up again? I make the case for people why I believe it will strongly. But, their bigger concern is like, well, if it's gone down for so long, is it ever going to go up again? And it's like, the truth is none of us can see the future. We can't even guarantee that we'll wake up tomorrow morning or that the sun will come up tomorrow morning. But I really, really, really like the chances. And so that's why I'm so interested in OMI. Like, there's a part of me that loves the VeVe collectibles, the digital comics and everything. But the reason why I spend so much time on OMI and VeVe in general is because I really believe in it as an investment for myself. Now, other people can make their own decisions. I make the case to them why I like it, what questions I want to know about, what things I'm looking at and why I make the decisions to like buy a lot more OMI. Like I've missed out on stacking up on collectibles a lot. Why? Because I've been stacking up on OMI because personally I think it's massively undervalued. But I'm now on, I think I'm up to 223 million. There's a chance I forgot to count my 12 million that's in the OMI app. So if that's the case, that'd be 235 million. So
that's nuts.
Just stacking away.
It's nice to know that there's someone that makes Randy look like a minnow after all these years. So that's
Randy's pretty close to that number.
I would have had like 1 million or 2 more, but I wound up purchasing like 68 of those Aliens vs. Avengers.
I heard you saying that. You were very excited about it. Yeah, for sure. Well, you know what, guys? I appreciate you having me on, and like I said, I'm happy to join whenever people have questions. People can always tag me, in the community, and just because you don't always see me doesn't mean that I'm not around lurking or taking
like Jesus.
Say your prayers, gents. Say your prayers. Appreciate you guys always. Appreciate the community. If you guys are watching this back after the fact or watching it live, make sure that you sub to these guys. They hold down the community here day in and day out, and we are in a better place because of what they do for the community. So make sure you guys check all of them out. Appreciate all the support from all you guys as always. Don't let me stop the conversation here. I will let you guys continue, but until the next one, thank you all, and hopefully I can make it out to NYCC, and I will see you guys soon.
All right. Thanks, Foster.
Bye, Foster. Love you, Foster. He looks so cute in that Under Armour shirt.
You know what's funny is I remember when they announced that they had hired him, I was like, oh, yes. I like how smart he is. He's really smart. And he articulates things so well, which is kind of what comes with being intelligent, is his ability to articulate things very well. It puts me at ease. A lot of like the bigger things that I really want to know, like he's right that David Yu's job is to go out and do like CEO things. It is always nice when CEOs come and talk to us, but they did hire Foster's position and my Collectibles position for a reason, is so that the communicators could communicate. But I do like that David Yu is out there closing the top intellectual property in the world, because as an investor, what I really want VeVe to become is the #1 marketplace. That when people think of digital collectibles, they think about VeVe. And if that happens, my OMI is going to be worth a fortune. And also my early collectibles that later on you have way, way, way more collectors come in and they say, oh, what's the earliest stuff? Oh my gosh, there's only 10,000 of those. Oh my gosh, there's only so many of those. And they get bid way the hell up. Well, that will happen if VeVe does become synonymous with digital collectibles and it becomes the #1 app, which is out there what I feel like David Yu is doing all the time. And that's what I most want him out there doing.
Agreed. I wish there was a way that we could clone David. Doc, you just missed Foster. He just left like 2 minutes ago.
I've actually been sitting here just waiting for him to leave. I'm like, I can't.
Whatever.
No, that's a bummer. I'm bummed I missed him, man. Shoot.
That's super funny.
I don't know about y'all, but my back is destroyed. I don't know why. I mean, I know why. I went to the gym and I ran today, but I would not hate it if we ended soon.
I'm down for that too. This couch is not super friendly on my back.
Well, hey, wait, just real quick. I want to shout out some of the people here, like in some of the comments real quick here. Hetman, base is the future. I'm stoked that we're on base. I really am. I think that's huge. Jason Pena, it's been good to see him. Mo Collections. So I missed all the stuff that you guys were talking about. I just jumped on. So this is interesting. FA, most important digital collectibles on TV, but Pokemon. Street Fighter. I love Street Fighter. And actually, did you guys see Dana talking about Street Fighter and Marvel? She made a post about that.
Wait, who did?
Dana. VeVe Deuce Greek. I can never remember how it's.
Oh, Deuce Miss Gecko?
No, not Gecko. Hold
Deuce
on.
Geek?
Miss Deuce Greek. I can never say her name right.
Oh, okay. She posted about that.
Miss Deuce Geek.
Yeah, no reason for her to post that unless it had. I don't know.
She said Capcom has announced that after technical discussions with Microsoft, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics is coming to Xbox One. So, I mean, I know that she follows all the gaming and stuff too, so there could be absolutely no connection there, but I was just kind of like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Look, I'm sorry, man. I know you're back, Kill, so
you're good.
Shout out to my Collectibles. Appreciate you. Look, Foster and MC, we had both.
Yeah, nice.
The community managers for OMI and VeVe comment on the stream, and we had one of them come on. Maybe we should have my Collectibles come on one of these times.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
This is a great show.
Yeah, look. Obviously, you guys can hear my daughter is asking for me. I've got to bounce. It sounds like everyone's got to bounce. So appreciate everyone who stayed on. I wish I could have stayed on longer. But Randy, hope your back gets better, and we'll see you guys on the flip side. All right.
All right. See you everyone.
On the flip side. Bye, guys. Bye, Tadashi.